It was one of those quiet suburban mornings. Birds chirping, sprinklers misting across manicured lawns, when chaos decided to stroll right onto my property. I was outside watering my front garden, wearing nothing more controversial than a simple tank top and shorts. The sun was out, and I was minding my own business. Then I heard it, a voice so sharp it could slice through glass. "Excuse me, young lady." I looked up to see her, Karen, the self-appointed neighborhood sheriff, storming across my driveway like she owned it. She had that signature bob haircut, oversized sunglasses, and a clipboard clutched like a weapon. I'd seen her before, yelling at delivery drivers and measuring grass heights. But today, she was on a mission. "You can't walk around here dressed like that," she snapped, pointing at my top as if it were some kind of crime. At first I laughed. I thought maybe she was joking, but her face, red, tight, trembling, said otherwise. She ranted about community standards, proper attire, and something about children seeing indecency. Meanwhile, I was standing there on my own property, completely stunned. I told her politely to leave. "Ma'am, this is my yard. You're trespassing." That only made her angrier. She stepped closer, ignoring my warnings, until she was right in front of me. "You think you can talk to me like that?" she hissed. "I'm on the HOA board. I can have you fined." Then, she raised her phone. She started filming me, saying she'd report this to the HOA and the police. That's when I realized this wasn't just some petty argument. This was an obsession. My neighbor, who'd seen the whole thing from across the street, started recording too, and that changed everything. Because when the footage hit social media, it didn't show a concerned neighbor. It showed a woman trespassing, screaming, and refusing to leave private property. I didn't know it then, but this was just the beginning. The neighborhood drama that would spiral into police reports, public embarrassment, and, eventually, criminal charges. Karen had crossed a line. And this time, the law was on my side. By that evening, the video had already made its way onto a local Facebook group called Neighborhood Watch, Fairview Subdivision. Within hours, it spread like wildfire. The caption read, "Hoe Karen loses it over a tank top." At first I was embarrassed. My face was all over social media. Me holding a hose, looking confused while this woman screamed at me. But as the comments started rolling in, something changed. People were furious, not at me, but at her. Who does she think she is? She trespassed just to harass someone? This is beyond ridiculous. Even people outside our town started sharing it. On TikTok, it hit 500,000 views in a single night. The hashtags draws tanktop Karen and Oz mind your business started trending. Karen, of course, didn't take it well. The next morning, she marched down to my house again. This time, with a printed cease and desist letter she clearly wrote herself. She claimed I was defaming her by letting the video circulate. I told her calmly that I wasn't the one who uploaded it. And even if I was, the footage was taken on my property. Her hands shook. She called me disrespectful, shameless, and said I was corrupting the community. Then, she noticed my neighbor across the street, the one who'd filmed her, and started yelling at him too. That was her mistake. He stepped forward and said, "Karen, you came onto private property, screamed at someone, and now you're threatening people. You might want to call a lawyer before you call anyone else." Her face went pale. She turned around and stormed off, slamming her car door so hard it echoed down the block. For a few days, things were quiet. I thought maybe the storm had passed, but the internet doesn't forget easily. And neither does a woman like Karen. 3 days later, I got a letter, not from her, but from the Homeowners Association. She'd filed an official complaint, claiming I violated community dress code policies. The only problem? There wasn't any such rule. When the HOA president called me, even he sounded tired. "Look," he said, "we've had issues with her before. You didn't do anything wrong, but it's getting out of hand." He was right. What started as a petty outburst was turning into something bigger, something that would soon involve the police. It happened 2 mornings later. I was sipping my coffee when I noticed a black and white police cruiser slowly rolling down our street. My first thought, oh no, she actually called the cops on me. But then I realized they didn't stop at my house. They stopped at hers. 2 officers stepped out, calm but serious. Karen appeared at her front door, wearing a floral robe and that same scowl she always had. She started talking fast, hands waving wildly, pointing toward my house. The officers just listened, arms crossed, while she kept gesturing like she was directing traffic. Then one of them said something that made her freeze. He pointed at her lawn, then toward my property. She went silent. I couldn't hear their exact words, but I saw the moment her confidence cracked. Her body stiffened. Her voice dropped. And then the unbelievable happened. She stepped back, folded her arms, and looked defeated. A few minutes later, one officer walked over to me. "Ma'am," he said politely, "we just wanted to confirm. Did you ask that woman to leave your property the day she confronted you? Yes, several times, I replied. And she refused. He nodded, jotting notes on his pad. That's all we needed to hear. The video supports your claim. We're filing a report for trespassing and harassment. I must have looked shocked because he added, you did nothing wrong. She can't come onto your property like that, no matter what her HOA title is. When the officers left, Karen stood frozen on her porch, arms crossed, face pale. For once, she didn't yell. She didn't wave her clipboard. She just stared. By that evening, half the neighborhood knew. Word spread faster than the original video. Everyone whispered about the Karen who got the cops called on her. Some even joked about it online. Memes, jokes, even a remix of her rant set to dramatic music. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted peace. But peace wasn't in Karen's vocabulary. A week later, she showed up again. This time with a friend, filming another video, trying to prove she was innocent. That's when the police showed up a second time, warning her that any further contact would lead to formal charges. That warning would soon become reality, because Karen wasn't done, not by a long shot. 2 weeks had passed since the second police visit, and honestly, I thought the whole nightmare was finally behind me. But just when I started to relax, I got a call that made my stomach drop. Ma'am, the officer said on the phone, we need you to come down to the station to sign a statement. Ms. Karen Thompson has been officially charged with trespassing and disorderly conduct. For a second, I couldn't even process it. Charged? As in legally? The same woman who screamed at me over a tank top was now facing actual consequences. When I arrived, the officer walked me through everything. Apparently, Karen had gone to the HOA office, demanding they punish me for indecency. When they refused, she'd lost it, yelling, throwing papers, even threatening to remove me herself. Someone at the office recorded it, and that footage, combined with the original viral video, became undeniable proof of her pattern of harassment. The police had given her multiple warnings, but she ignored them. So now it was official. Trespassing, harassment, and public disturbance. Meanwhile, the online world was still buzzing. The story had made it into a few local news segments. One headline read, HOA woman faces charges after viral tank top confrontation. I didn't celebrate. I wasn't proud that someone's life had spiraled this far. But I couldn't deny feeling relieved. Finally, someone stood up to her bullying. A few days later, I saw her again. Not yelling this time. Just quietly walking to her mailbox, avoiding everyone's eyes. The same neighbors she used to lecture now crossed the street to avoid her. The mighty HOA enforcer had become the talk of the town, and not in the way she ever wanted. A month later, she moved out. No goodbye, no notice, just gone. Her house went up for sale, and a young couple moved in. Polite, quiet, and thankfully Karen-free. Looking back, I realized something important. Sometimes the people who try the hardest to control others are the ones losing control of themselves. I didn't need revenge. I just needed boundaries. And standing my ground taught me exactly that. Now, whenever I step outside, tank top and all, I smile. Because that moment of chaos turned into a lesson. Don't let anyone's insecurity dictate your peace. And as for Karen, well, I hope she finally found a new neighborhood. One with fewer tank tops and a lot more mirrors. If you thought this Karen went too far, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more wild neighborhood stories like this. And drop a comment below, telling us what you would have done if she showed up at your door. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next crazy HOA showdown.